I was thinking the other day about the story about Bartimaeus, the guy that was blind. Um, he was sitting by a roadside begging one day when Jesus and his disciples had got finished preaching, and he couldn't see, he was blind, and he heard all the people making noise, and so he's like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, it's Jesus. And so he says, Jesus, son of David, help me. And they're like, hey, shut up. And he's like, I'm not going to shut up. Like, Jesus, I need your help. And so the scripture says that he cried even louder. And so um, Jesus goes on to heal him from his blindness, and he could see. And so that story kind of stood out to me because recently I had an experience where so I'm naturally like an introvert, right? And so there was this group discussion that was going on, and I normally don't want to say anything, but in this particular situation, I felt compelled to do so. Offer up a suggestion for something. And so the feedback that I received was misunderstood, I guess, kind of, sort of. And so it kind of discouraged me, because it's like, okay, well, I already didn't want to say anything in the first place, but then I get this reaction, and it's like, why did I open my mouth? And so but I had to realize that just because one person misunderstood something that I said doesn't mean that the information that I gave wasn't useful, right? And sometimes the devil can try to, play with your mind, like, hey, you shouldn't have said anything anyway. Like, what you had to say was stupid. Nobody needed to know that, like, whatever. But what you have is valuable to somebody, right? And so you have to be very mindful to not be discouraged, to not let the devil get in your head and say, hey, shut up, just like Bartimaeus did. Like, the man had a need, he made his need known. It's like, you are not going to hold me back from getting what I need. So be encouraged. I do think that it can be sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. Even if it's not the devil, we can be very hard on ourselves, thinking that what we have isn't important, that we're not valuable. But that's not true. Just because we're children of God, and he's placed something inside of every one of us. And so it's that daily struggle that we have to just believe that we are who we are as children of God, and that what we carry is important.